Did you get an IRS levy notice or a warning letter like the CP 504 or LT 11? The IRS can take your wages, your bank account, and even your car, but you can stop them if you act fast. In this video, I'll break down what an IRS levy is, how the levy process works step by step, and exactly what you can do to stop it before it's too late. At my firm, we've helped clients stop IRS levies and even get the money back, protecting their paychecks, bank accounts, and even their homes. I'm Brad Paladini, a tax attorney with 12 years of experience helping clients fight back against IRS collections, wage garnishments, and bank levies. So what exactly is an IRS levy? It's not the same as a lien. A levy is when the IRS seizes your property, like your bank accounts, your wages, or your real estate, to collect back taxes. A tax lien is just a legal claim in your property. A levy is when they actually take the money or the asset. What can the IRS actually take in a levy? Well, the list of what they can take is longer than you think. They can garnish your paycheck continuously. They can take the money in your bank account up to the amount of the tax debt. They can also seize things like your real estate, your cars, Social Security, and even your retirement accounts. There is some property that is exempt, but not much. Basic personal items and a very small portion of your wages. Now, you don't just wake up one day to an empty bank account. There are warning signs. The IRS will send you a bill, typically a notice and demand for payment. They'll also send you reminders like a CP 501 or a CP 504, which is an intent to levy state refunds. Eventually, you'll receive a final notice of intent to levy, which is typically either a letter LT 11 or 1058, could also be a CP 90. They're all more or less the same. After you receive one of those notices, you have 30 days to either pay the debt, appeal, or negotiate some sort of resolution before the IRS can legally proceed with a levy. If you don't respond at all, the IRS will either levy your bank account, garnish your wages, or try to seize assets depending on the situation. So how can you stop an IRS levy? Number one, you can request a collection due process or CDP hearing within 30 days of the final notice. When you receive that LT 11 or letter 1058 or CP 90, it will actually have the date in that notice of when you must file an appeal by. Now, when you file that appeal, the IRS is legally prohibited from taking further collection action, like a levy, for any tax year mentioned in that notice. So if you only owe for 1 year and you get a final notice for that particular year and you timely file an appeal, the IRS cannot proceed with a garnishment or a levy until the appeal hearing is resolved. You can also stop a levy by preemptively negotiating either a payment plan or filing an offer in compromise. When you file an offer in compromise, that also stops collection action. So if you think you are a good candidate for an offer in compromise, you want to get that out within that 30-day window, ideally, to prevent further collection action. Another option is to prove a financial hardship and request currently non-collectible status, in which case you wouldn't be required to pay anything. And while you're on that status, the IRS cannot levy you. Now, let's say you wait too long and the IRS has already hit your bank account or started a wage garnishment. All hope is not lost. You can still request a release by showing a hardship or potentially entering into a formal payment plan with the IRS. If that happens, the IRS will send a levy release to either the bank or the employer once it's resolved. You could also file an appeal. This is a different type of appeal under the Collection Appeals Program, varies slightly from a collection due process hearing request. That is another option to potentially get the levy released. So let's give you some real life examples. We had a client, his name was John. He received the LT 11 and the IRS started garnishing his wages. After he was able to retain us, we proved to the IRS that he had a financial hardship. Basically meaning, look, even if you were to let me keep all of my wages. I can barely pay my rent, my utilities, my food, all of my ordinary and necessary expenses. I just don't have any extra money to pay you. And so they released the levy and placed them on currently non-collectible status. We've had other clients who call us earlier, maybe right after they received that LT11 or CP90, and we're able to file a collection due process hearing, which is usually a great opportunity to resolve the matter. So if you can get in early and you can file that CDP hearing or have us file it on your behalf, it's really a great opportunity to either get a payment plan approved, to potentially file an offer in compromise, or to get you on currently non-collectible status. So here are some common mistakes, some things that you really don't want to do if you are facing a levy. Don't ignore the IRS letters, especially the final notice. I know it can be very confusing because many of the letters that the IRS sends look almost identical, and you really have to look carefully to see if you're receiving that final notice. And really the best way to know that is the notice number, which is on the top right-hand corner of the notice. And again, you are looking for either the LT11, the CP90, or a letter 1058. Those are the really, really important final notices that you don't want to ignore. I think some people just have a misunderstanding as well as to what a levy is. A levy is when they actually take your money, right? So they are reaching into your bank account, they are taking whatever is there, or they are taking a large portion of your wages. That's different from a lien notice, which basically just secures their interest in your property. So if you were to own a home and that home has equity, the IRS files a lien and then you sell that home, the IRS would get paid in order of priority any sort of excess equity that you have to satisfy the tax debt. Don't assume it's too late. Even if you got an LT11 or a final notice years ago, you can still fight back, and you can still fight back even after the levy starts. I've lost count of how many wage garnishments we've been either able to remove or get greatly reduced after the taxpayer lifts their head from the sand and is finally willing to work with the IRS to resolve the issue. So if you're worried about IRS collections, please like and subscribe. I'm trying to release videos every week to help protect your finances. And if you've received a levy notice or fear one is coming, you can click on the link below for a free consultation. My team and I can review your case and take immediate steps to stop the IRS from seizing your money.